Hey, welcome back to the John Hallett podcast. We are talking today about the Peaceful Warrior Project here at RMSDF. How's it going, Josh?
I'm good, man. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Got my cup of coffee, so
I know, I do
I'm
too.
good.
Hey, so the question I always had for you is like, what made you start the Peaceful Warrior program? Like, what was your inspiration? What did you do with that?
Well, a lot of martial arts schools have a black belt club or black belt program, and I was always drawn to um, the book really the Peaceful Warrior, and I just like the name, and what that meant. I mean, the book was good, the movie was horrible, but just like what it meant to be a peaceful warrior, that meant more to me like than black belt club, and
Yeah,
being
yeah.
in, I don't know, being in the club. I don't know.
Like it's kind of cliche when you're like, I'm in the Black Belt Club.
Yeah, I mean, it was too martial arty for me.
Yeah,
So I, came up with the Peaceful Warrior Project that we're just all trying to get better and, keep plugging along on that road because it's so worth it. What does your coffee cup say? Does your coffee cup say poop?
when this cup is empty, it will be time to poop. My wife, I got that from my incredible significant other because there's
Oh,
correlation there.
see, you're doing so much better, Josh. I also do relationship coaching for Josh. He does the social
Yes.
media coaching, podcast
Uh-huh.
coaching.
Yeah, like you've been a really positive, peaceful warrior influence on me in and out of the gym.
Oh,
But I like the name of it when you told me about the program and kind of what it meant because there's people that come in and train and they want to learn it, but then there's the people that want to be it.
yeah. I mean, even, some beginners, I'm like, you can join. You're just not going to get into that advanced class. That's in at our gym. You can join and you can get some of the perks out of that class and program that we do at our MSDF for discounts and so on and so forth. But I think they're also drawn to what it is, and it sounds sounds interesting, and it draws
Yeah,
people in.
yeah,
But the class at the gym is our advanced training program. That it's a spot for people to work on that advanced stuff because it's really hard to get somebody to progress in an all levels class. You can go so far. All us advanced people always need to work on the basics, but also need a place where you're working with advanced people and we're not having to cover things that are basic over and
yeah,
over again. In an all levels class, that's the stuff that's going. It's meant for all levels and really, basic and intermediate. It's not really meant for advanced people to be learning new stuff. It's for them to keep their skills honed.
yeah. And
So,
refinement. I
but
notice you keep refining our skills in it, which is great. Like your
yeah, you
cup.
always there's always something else to train and, get better at and evolve. I mean, the gym has definitely evolved in the last 5 years, 10 years,
Mhm.
15 years. It, continues to, we just try to make it better and
Yeah,
always something to train on and another aspect to focus on and improve on as a coach. So, well, this is how housed on our ClearSky.Training portal. All of our students need to get on there. I was having a discussion with Mark at the gym the other day. He was asking me some stuff about testing because the ClearSky.Training portal testing is now required for our students. We're seeing just a lack of
oh wow.
overall knowledge and deeper understanding. And we're trying to get that on each belt level so they have a good understanding. We've seen people even at the black belt level kind of lacking a complete understanding. So we're trying to add that into it, that they're, watching videos, they're reading stuff, just like the whole Clear Sky training system that we're going through here in this series. So that's all housed on ClearSky.Training. And I highly recommend students getting on and doing it beforehand. What we're implementing now, because in the last, or the first test that we rolled it out on, we had some glitches, of course, in the back end website, but working through those, students aren't doing it.
Mm.
We say, hey, this is required. So we're actually not going to allow you to do the physical test until you complete the online training portal test. So I would
Pow.
recommend, what's that?
Ow.
Ow.
Do it.
It's chasing people to get them to better themselves, and I'm kind of a little tired of it. Hey, get on there, do it. All our members, get a free month on there. The cost is nothing in there, and it's not that much money, and it's all there to better you. It's a platform, as it takes a ton of time to put these videos out, to cut them. I mean, even as simple as we cut them, it still takes time. You still got to export them, load them up to YouTube, load them up. Right. And somebody, actually, that was Mark, was saying, I watch everything that comes out, wherever he's watching it. I'm like, that's only what I decide to release out, as a trying to draw other people in outside of our gym into checking it out and see if they're interested in it. I don't put all of our videos out onto social media. So if you're watching our social media, YouTube channels, you're not catching everything that we put on there. And even at black belt level, we're putting all the instructor Apex training, discussions are on that for our instructors. But if you want to really advance, that stuff is on there for you. So, I recommend getting on there and starting to do those training courses, because you have to watch the videos. You're going to have to go through the PDFs on all of this stuff and make sure you have an understanding of it.
Yeah, it just deepens the learning, because now you got to go take the test with it, right? You always got to, throw a defensive front kick. And if they know how to answer that question, in a multiple choice or however you do it, it's going to be worth it. It's worth the learning. It's worth doing.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are, pretty easy. Some of them, there's a couple funny ones in there. Make sure you,
I know,
you better know where this came from and this and
one
that.
Of them,
but
I realized I had no understanding of what you meant by it, like a straight punch. I'm like, what? And you're like, dude, it's straight punch. You should know that one. And I was like, yeah, I was wrong.
Yeah. Do you get all the key points of performance? Do you know everything in a multiple choice? I mean, there's a couple different formats. I mean, the essay questions are definitely, the hardest, because that's just you. And those are the ones that really, as you go, those are the ones they're not graded on the online portal, because it has no ability to grade it.
So fill it out. Like, it doesn't matter. Fill out that answer and fill out a good answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just I'm reading those, and you can see right there.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I have to go through. I mean, it'll grade all the multiple choice, but the essay questions are not graded. They're just, if you put something down, you get a point.
Right.
So I have to go back through and see what their understanding was of that essay question. Yeah. So get on there, as we say, train more, suck less. It's all for you. It's out there. So I would check it out. We'll bring up, I went too far when we were talking about this. I got to make this bigger for me. Our section on the Peaceful Warrior mindset, Clear Sky, and how I came up with that brand was, I just like the connotation that, nice blue sky. There is no way, people get way caught up into their martial art. They're thinking like, you just got to let it go. And, sometimes that's even just in your training. Actually, something happened just the other day. Somebody was thinking about a high round kick, but all of a sudden that what they thought was a high round kick was a high front kick to their face. And, they made a reaction and it was something. I'm like, yeah, like sometimes it's not textbook, but I think that's, what a lot of people want is a given answer. And when you're fighting, sometimes you just got to react, and whatever happens, and whatever hand position, body position, you've got to go. So, any questions on this, Josh?
Well, I was thinking that mindset of being a peaceful warrior. It's like knowing the skills, but not seeking to use them. It's only for self-defense is the way I like to say it. Because I'm not out there looking to pick a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you've made me peaceful. Like I'm here to take these skills and just walk in a peaceful way with it, right? Use it when I need it. And I thought that was what was really cool. Because some places can be like, you're a super warrior, right? And it's not really what it is. You just got to react to a crappy situation do your best and learn some technique and some skills and some time and effort.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of where I added in the Peaceful Warrior Code, something for some people to think of. And that's exactly, what you just said. We train to stay calm in chaos, to end the fight before it starts. But when the line is crossed, we strike with purpose, precision, and power. Like, end it. Get out of there.
That was the thing that's been really striking me lately is if someone does take you on, you can't just prolong that fight. You've got to be quick, strike, end it, go. I mean, it's got to be something like that. Otherwise, you're going to get hurt.
Yeah, you can't fool around with that. I think I made a short for women's self-defense the other day, and you're undersized. The truth is you got to train. You got to get stronger. You got to continually train. You can't do a feel-good course and think you're going to be able to defend somebody. You want to be strong. And when you hit, you can't be flirting around, oh, I don't want to really hurt you. No, you've got to go as full force as you can. If you're justified to hit somebody, somebody's trying to come after you, there is no fooling around. You've got to, again, strike with purpose. You've got to end that. It's not trying to, oh, I don't really want to hurt you kind of thing.
I know, just go for it. But that's the hard thing to learn is like striking to end it. Like most people don't want to hurt another person because they're normal people, right? And you've got to use these skills for people who are a bit of the abnormal because they want to hurt you. So you've got to go ferocious. And just learning that level of ferocity was a real eye opener for anybody that trains it, especially for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is end the fight, but get out of there when you can. Right. I mean, when you can get out, get out of there, continue it going. The Peaceful Warrior Project 4 laws of self-defense and fighting, we tweaked these or inspired by Todd Fossey and his fight IQ. We kind of broadened it, and for our own purposes within the Peaceful Warrior Project, didn't want to just take his fight IQ. We wanted to broaden it and implement it into what we do in the Peaceful Warrior Project. We've got this quote here: "We train not for violence, but for victory, not for ego." Oh, that is so important. But for survival. A peaceful warrior stands prepared not to fight, but to win when there is no other choice. And, that sums up a lot for people. We see that with beginners, right? That they want to kind of test their skills.
Yeah. They're trying to figure out where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah. Test them in the gym. You really don't want to, even provoke somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be able to use your skills. And that's a total beginner mistake because they'll be at fault because they're in some aspects, they'll challenge somebody out there and just make a situation that didn't need to be at all violent because they want to test their skills. Yeah. And they think they're right defending themselves, but they're egging that person on, so to speak.
Yeah. I told the class the other day, I was like, your mouth gets you into more trouble than anything else.
Yeah.
And if you're one of those crap talkers, like there's just some people also who transform from the nicest lady you've ever met to one of the worst crap talkers you've ever met in your life. And you're like, where did this come from? Like, who are you? And you've said the same story to me. And then I experienced it and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, so that ego is such a weird, it's really hard to separate yourself from it because you don't want to lose.
Yeah. Yeah. Separating yourself from that is tough. So number 1, control the distance. You need to own the range and control the fight. So much. I think that was one of, I wouldn't say your first lessons, but I remember coming at you with a padded stick, probably. Yeah. I don't think it was one of the wooden ones, but it would have been funnier. But the padded sticks are nice because you get that.
Thank you for not beating me up. I appreciate
real reaction that you went for your firearm when you were in hand to hand. You needed to make a weapon. You needed to make a redirection on that stick.
Yeah.
and you went for your gun and you were still on the X, and
Yeah.
I like whacked you in the head with a padded stick.
Yeah.
And that's that whole transition, we talk about with the firearm.
Yeah.
And
And I had nothing to default to besides just go for the gun and hope for the best, instead of that stick defense. You're like,
yeah,
man, there was so much available there. I remember you telling me that. I'm looking at it and like, he's right, right? Like, it's just knowing when to do what, or at least having a concept of when I can go to something, right? To say that anything is required or permanent doesn't count. But you really pounded that into my head, man. You're like, you have to know how to use your hands, right? All you got is the gun right now. And I was like, oh, you're right.
yeah,
and
I
it
mean, you
hurt. It
default to
hurt.
yeah, I mean, you have spent a lot of time just training firearms and
Yeah.
coming into hand, and it had probably been a long time since you did martial arts, right? You did kung fu.
Yeah. I
How long? I
attempted kung
mean,
fu. Yeah.
how long ago was that?
It's over the 20 years. It was
Yeah, so
20
I mean,
years.
that's gone and perishable. Like,
Right. But it's not even there. Like, occasionally it shows up and you're like, oh yeah. But it's gone.
yeah, yeah,
It's gone.
it's tough thing. The distance, you know.
You even you gave me an example of finishing when like we were practicing a rear naked choke, and then you went to knife and I bailed on the choke and went for the knife, and you're like, you could have just ended it, right? I could have just ended it, and I didn't. I got so busy chasing the shiny thing, right? And it cost me it cost me some cuts.
At least, yeah,
Ugh,
definitely.
so
Like, not like knowing when to get out, and sometimes you
no,
can't get out of that distance. You're trying to control it. It's really
yeah,
hard, and that's some of the bullet points below this. If you're just listening, you want to master the range.
yeah,
And that's not an easy thing. I even really kind of hate the word mastery because I think it's always something you need to train,
yeah,
your footwork, strike from safety, be able to move and hit and move is a huge thing, especially like
yeah.
2-on-1 fighting.
The master of the footwork part's so hard. Just knowing where I'm putting my feet half the time. Like, there's days I'll just make sure my feet are in the right place. Uh, it's just that kind of training. But sometimes you just work with what you got.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to, distance control. That might be, your
Yeah,
defensive front kick. It,
yeah,
could be a lot of different things, like somebody coming at you from different directions, framing up, clinch fighting, everything in that aspect to be able
yeah,
to do an over drag and make distance, whatever it might be, to do a foot trap dump and drop them on the ground, and knee strike them and just break range. And
yeah,
starting to just realize like distance is such a hard thing. I always use when you can reach the salt on the kitchen table and when you need to ask somebody to pass it to you.
yeah,
Just starting to do that. I mean, I do that so much with defensive kicks. Can you touch the pad? It's at your fingertips. That's your side kick range. Start to,
mm,
get all of those ranges down where somebody is out in space on there. And that's kind of the one I'll start with so many times. Can you reach out and touch it? Okay. They're just out of your reach. You're probably in a good defensive kick position for most people.
yeah. That defensive front kick works so well. Like, I forget it's there all the time. It's like, man, you learn how to throw one of those, you can control that space, keeps them off you. I like it. I love it. I think it's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah. I mean, I love, a defensive kick, but then it's also figuring out and computing how fast that person's moving and how
Yeah,
big they look,
I know, dude.
because you have one foot on the ground, and if your timing's off, or even I always say, you're running that in your head in these split seconds, that guy's really big and he's moving really fast.
Yeah.
This is
So
not going to end well.
yeah,
So many times I say, a lot of times you just need to default to framing up and
yeah,
kind of, if you don't, that's, kind of blocking somebody, if you're familiar with football, putting one arm on them and, elbow down and the other hand controlling their bicep or an over or underhook, crashing that wall like a bumper, like it's the kids, bumper car drill, like they like crashing into somebody. I would rather crash into somebody with 2 feet on the floor than have 1 foot. And then, you're pretty much going to end up on your butt. If they're too big, moving too fast. And, that's all part of the learning curve and figuring that out. Even somebody your own size, moving at a high rate of speed is going to knock you back if your timing is off and you are not at the apex of that power on that kick.
Yeah, I made the kids do that a little bit the other night. And they're wondering, like, why am I falling backwards? And I'm like, well, you're either the person's too big or you're just not timing it. Or if the kick isn't right, you fly back. For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction.
Yeah.
And you land on your butt. So knowing that space and the size.
Yeah.
So important.
Number 2 is command the moment. Milliseconds matter. Win the moment. The peaceful warrior doesn't rush. He owns time. And that is huge. I didn't put out the video because we just cut all the Apex videos from instructor training, that I was watching some of the peaceful warriors who were doing carjacking on a nice spring day here in Colorado. And, 2 of the lower level guys, I would say, because there was 1 black belt in there, Lee, they were rushing to try to make a weapon disarm or rushing to engage that carjacker when, Lee had the best one of, there's my car, drive away, have fun. Here you go. You want my car? I'm like, that's carjacking defense right there.
Right. Give them the car.
Yeah. I would say, if they're telling you to get out, I mean, it'd be one thing if a loved one, there's a small child or something in that car. Yeah. I probably wouldn't let them get in and drive away. But, we used to joke around with our kids. I'm like, nobody's going to abduct you. They don't want you. Even though we know there are those sick people. I'm like, that carjacker's probably like, what? Right. Screaming kid in this car? I want another car. Get me out of here.
I don't care if you're hungry.
That's a reason to go potentially. But, God, it's your car, unless you really feel it, they're going to get in the car. They probably just want the car and they're going to drive off.
Take it, buddy.
It'd be one thing if they're like, get down on your knees. That doesn't sound good. That sounds more like execution or anything like that. I mean, if they really wanted to, if they were just going to shoot you, they'd just shoot you through the window and then take your car.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
if they really want to kill you, they really just want the car. So give them the darn car. It's just something abandoned.
There's so many aspects to carjacking that have nothing to do with the actual gun disarm involved in carjacking. It's get out of there. They just want your stuff. Right. They just want your stuff. So I was actually talking to a guy last night at an event for my wife, a networking thing, and he and some friends were riding their bikes from Colorado to Guatemala. And I forget where he said they made it to. But he's like, it was like a movie. I saw a guy with a mask and a machete. And he's like, I was looking for cameras. I was like, it must be a movie. And he's like, and then boom, there's a guy with a long gun.
Oh no!
At his head. And, they took their stuff. He is actually like, they, took our passports, our money, all our expensive camping gear and that stuff. They were nice enough to leave us our bikes, but they made it back, they just wanted the gear, right? I mean, you're in some, trail or dirt road, wherever the heck they were.
In the jungle.
I'm sure they could have just shot them all, but they wanted the stuff. Give them the stuff and deal with it from there.
Right, like walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, you get to walk away.
Yeah. So you don't want to get caught up in anything like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's really
Crazy.
important. Like, don't rush. It's a really big
Yeah.
thing here. It's, commanding the moment is also, timing and tempo and understanding that it's not who's faster, it's who's first when it counts, right? We see that a ton.
Hmm.
Tools, your counter striking, rhythm manipulation, explosive entries. We talked about that in rate. Like,
Hmm.
if you're gonna go, you've got to go. There is no halfway, kind of
Yeah.
hesitating. I'm going, but I'm not. It's like you got to fully explode into an attack, into a
Yeah.
situation. There is no kind of halfway, and we'll see that quite often. I think the one of the terms that comes to mind I haven't used in forever is you're just pussyfooting around. You're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You got to go.
Yeah. Just attack. It's that ferocity. You got to go because
Yeah.
it's bad. It's bad. You got to go.
Yep. It's gun defense. We know nobody's faster than the trigger pull to move their hand, but it's the decision to go before the other person goes.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we've got all kinds of one of the favorite ones that we run with delay and obscure, right? You just got to buy time, do some, I don't know, being able to control the moment and stay calm and figuring out your plan as you're going is what I feel like it should be, but or at least that's how it feels. And I don't, it's easy to say now till it happens. So we got to
yeah.
kind of train it all the time. And I don't think I'm that cool under the pressure sometimes. Like I'm just get caught up in thinking about what to do.
Yeah. Well, your head gets in the way. That's, huge. It's doing it, doing it, doing it. And that's what it is to be a peaceful warrior, that you want to do this. It becomes a lifestyle. It's not, yeah, I signed up for a 28-week course. It's, I want to master this stuff. And, you never truly do. And that's what, black belts become to realize, I'm not going to master this truly. I'm
Yeah.
way better than I was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years. It's doing it.
Over and
You can
over and
always get
over.
better at it,
Yeah.
and like you're said, like your point, yeah, your head gets in the way. You need more reps and doing it more, so you can become, calm in that moment and
Yeah.
command it. Because if the other person is leading the show, you're in trouble.
Yeah, you're busy following.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You don't want to be following. That's, where the kids have been loving playing zombie game in the rotation this month. And, they're not commanding the moment. I always tell them, you need to drive. You're the driver. You can't wait for these other cars to surround you. You have to
Yeah.
drive. I use that analogy a ton with the kids. Like, get out of there. You need to move. You are the driver, and that's what it means to be the, commanding the moment. You
Yeah.
cannot be behind that other person. If you're letting them drive the fight, you're going to be in trouble. Number
Interesting. Yeah.
three. Did you have something on that, Josh?
No, no, keep going. Let's roll.
Number three. Number three. Number
Free.
three. Flow within the fight. Right. No pause. No gaps. There's
Flow and
something.
fire.
Yeah.
Flow and fire.
So my
Yeah,
slide
there is
plays in the
kind of
way.
like a rhythm to some stuff. You can get into a rhythm fighting. I used to be really rigid. I'm trying to relax more in it, but just kind of see where it's going. That's one of the things I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into, the old saying, you got to hit and move. Otherwise, you're a
Yeah.
sitting duck.
Duck.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're a sitting duck. That's, you cannot, like, so many beginners will hit and stand still, like
Yeah.
hit and move, hit and
Yeah.
move. You got to be moving. Transitions aren't pauses; they're power moves. We always talk about getting outside the elbows.
Hmm.
Move with intention, strike without hesitation. Any like holding back, it becomes
Yeah.
a problem. And knowing when to strike, what area to strike. Hit vulnerable areas.
Yeah.
You know, it's also known as fight flow, move between positions, um, and phrases like water, uninterrupted, and unstoppable. Like that's Bruce Lee.
Yeah, now you need that Enter the Dragon clip where he's like, move like water. I love that movie.
Yeah, water flows, water crashes.
Yeah.
Again, your tools, your striking to clinch position, ground to stand up, you're going from defense, getting ambushed to attacking fluidly, like, and not being choppy. We see that in beginners so much, like they're learning just that escape from a bear hug or headlock, whatever it may be, and then just flowing within the fight after that, and where to move and what to do is so big. We'll see beginners just stand right in front of the attacker and go, your turn. Like, no, move, at least move a foot away, consciously thinking I would be moving here and looking around and seeing, who's around and what escape avenues I have. But just that, it's just a lot to learn the escape, and then just to move outside the elbows, just to move away from the person takes more than people think.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And if you don't step right with the footwork, suddenly you're in a bad spot. And I'm taking blows in the head, right, or in the face, or in a kidney. Oh man, yeah. You when you turn into a bad spot, you learn where they are pretty quick.
Yeah,
yeah, and it hurt. Like, and you take a few shots. It's like, uh oh.
Yeah, I mean, it gets into military. You want to be moving, and who's going to be the first to move, or flank the enemy, parachute behind them, helicopter in,
right?
Now
flank them. Flank them.
Now you just look out for the drones.
Don't even start, man.
I knew
this is hard enough.
I know you're really freaked out by drones, so
I am.
I don't blame you.
You all should.
The drones are coming for you. Oh gosh.
I feel like an Amazon one's going to deliver something someday, and I'm really going to freak out. I'll be on the phone. It's here. Help me, John. I'm not that kind of coach.
You didn't sign up for the live training, Josh.
Yeah. It'll probably be you.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Hopefully by then you don't freak out and shoot it. So,
I know. Well, dominate the angles on it, right? Like, if I can get out there and start getting some decent angles, knowing I can make that shot, but that does make a big difference, right? Being able to get that off angle and throw a punch, or be able to defend and get them away from you so you can go to another weapon and then get that distance. It's so important to be able to get the angles. And I forget about them all the time. You're like, Josh, why don't you just move left or right there, buddy? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was the one you were like, I was in between my trash barrels. I'm like, you couldn't have moved backwards, Josh?
Darn it. No. I don't think backwards.
Yeah, I don't think backwards. I just go forward.
Right.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Amazon, they're going to have to do something to defend porch pirates from the drones. So the drones are going to have some sort of offensive capability.
You know what? I think people are going to try to take. Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to have to be anti-EMP. I mean, people are smart. I think they're going to have like these roadways in the sky that they'll follow, which will make it even worse. Because, there's going to be air traffic that has to be considered and all that. And they, who knows how it looks like. It's just so weird. Drones are weird.
Yeah. I just wanted to freak you out a little bit more there. Number 4.
Don't turn it into that kind of show.
Don't turn it into the freaking out Josh show. It's so much fun.
No, just move on.
Just move on. Number 4, dominate the angles. You move offline. All right. They get flattened. Get outside the elbows. Like, get a great shot, whatever it may be. Yeah. You want to end it. It's kind of like bobbing. You're getting offline, but you got to come up firing. Otherwise, you just bobbed, and they're going to move. It's hit and move. Back to just something simple like that. Knowing the angle to take. It's like fight geometry. Like, where are you stepping? Where are you going?
I was watching this guy train in a boxing video online, and he's trying to get the angle, but as he's trying to get the angle, he drops his hand, and his trainer just knocks him out of the ring. And he's like, you got to work those angles. You're taking on a fighter. He's a puncher. What do you think he's going to do? And that that said everything I needed to know about watching angles, right? Because the guy just walks right into a punch. You know, he
Yeah.
took the bad angle on it, right? He didn't dominate that angle. He kind of just dropped and picked one, and it ends up ending you. Like that would have been a knockout.
Yeah. I mean, especially if it sounded like his hands were down.
Yeah.
And you took the wrong angle. You walked into their angle. You walked right into their punch.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's, so big of, knowing when to pivot offline, when to try to flank them, just your footwork, you're not skipping, right? I mean, you want to exploit what they're doing. They take a wrong angle. Do you have the right tool in the toolbox, whatever it may be?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
From your striking to your clinch fighting, whatever it is, it's so important to move correctly and not skip and not get caught. Just the mats are nice and smooth, but out in the environment, you're more likely to trip. Just a little, half-inch rock on the ground, which we know there's plenty of those. In
walk
Colorado.
through, go any sidewalk anywhere. You know what I mean? You'll fall.
Yeah, a crack in the pavement,
right?
Anything like that, just something misaligned.
Yeah, but if your footwork's good, right, and you're dominating those angles, like you stay on the balls of your feet, you set yourselves up for success with good basics too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Especially in those to dominate the angles. If you're doing the basics right, you can start seeing where the angles are.
Yeah,
and that's what you've been pointing out a lot to me lately. It's like just look for those angles, man. I'm like, okay, they're there.
Yeah. Don't stay in front of them.
Yeah,
that's not a good place to be. No. You're on the highway.
Strike zone. You're in this. It's like, oh no, it's coming.
Yeah, get off angle. But most people freeze and do that, right?
Yeah.
Cover.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going to stay there. Now, sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, sometimes I will stay in cover and protect to look for a counterattack without moving. Sometimes it is the answer. Sometimes it's not the answer. I mean, depending, especially somebody bigger, getting off angle is better than just staying there and covering and protecting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it pans out because they, throw a crazy punch and you're in striking range, that you were protecting, but you definitely weren't dominating the angle on that scenario. You were still on the X, but you were protecting and looking for an opening right there. Because maybe you couldn't move off the X because your wife is behind you.
Yeah, right. It'll be contextual.
Yeah, so it's so difficult there.
I think you said to me once, you're like, get offline. You won't take a punch if you're not there.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah. Yeah, dummy.
Stop standing right there.
Move. You're trying to be nice, but like I could see it in your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, you're all right. I just threw a left straight at you. Okay, that landed.
Yeah.
Okay, you're still standing there. I'm gonna throw another left straight at you.
Yeah. Don't block with your head.
Okay.
I was like, all right.
I'm gonna throw another left straight at you. Let's see if you learn on the third one to get. No. Why are you still standing there?
Move, Josh. What?
Get out of the way. But that sums up our peaceful warrior mindset. I'm sure there's a whole lot more there. We've got episodes, talking about black belt and the mindset there. They're very similar, but I think it's this attitude that, I'm going to win the fight. I'm going home safe. All things we talk about so many times at the gym, and being strong and going, I can do it. I'm not going to lose. I can lose the 10 pounds, whatever it is. It's just so much of your mindset of not beating yourself up. So many people beat themselves up. You got to have this. No, I am winning this fight. I am going home. I am the better fighter. I'm not going to lose.
That's what you got to do when it's self-defense. Yeah.
You
go, you win.
Yeah. I was thinking of Jocko last night. Sugar-coated lies. I love that. I love when he says that. I haven't listened to his there's a thing on Spotify with a bunch of his things that are really good, just motivational. And just listening to him every once in a while, they're good reminders, but that's one of my favorite ones. It's like they're sugar-coated lies.
Yeah.
Like stop letting it lie to you. Stop letting your stomach lie to you. I think I titled something terrible, Josh. You probably think. I think I titled something.
You just do what makes you happy.
I think I titled something off the top of my head that I think comes out next week, probably the week of the 11th, 12th or something here that we're recording this in May. That was like, stop trusting your gut. It's lying to you, or it's fat. There was something like your gut's lying to you. Stop trusting your gut. Right. It's lying to you. It's fat. It wants more sugar. But you gotta overcome that. Sometimes we're our own worst enemies, and that's the peaceful warrior mindset that I'm gonna do this, and things are gonna get in the way. Yeah.
It's dedication.
What can you do? I see people never come to certain classes, not change their schedule, not make it a priority, because it's all about choices. It's all about choices and what you can do to get in and train more or do stuff on your own. You miss something. Did you do something on your own?
Yeah. You still do the push-ups. Just shadow box a little bit. Just stand there. Like, have fun with it.
Yeah.
You stand in your living room, just throw a couple.
I was gonna say that earlier. That's why I try to shadow box for about 5 minutes at the beginning of class to warm up. That you're getting 5 minutes of footwork and moving and punching every time you come into class, and that just adds up over time. And even that, you came to class 3 times a week. You only shadow box for 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and it's not much time. And, just multiply that over, the month, the year, and how long it's going to take to really add up that 10,000 hours.
Yeah. The pros are always sitting there throwing fists whenever they get a chance. I mean, they're thinking about it as they're walking around the world, right? I mean, they're thinking, it's also having that mindset of thinking about it, seeing it in your head, playing it over and over and over. I used to not be able to do that, but now if I do a technique, I can sit there and start thinking about it in my head a little bit. And break it down like a movie. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Always questioning what I did. And then, I used to really hate failure because of that ego piece. But now I realize if I fail, I did something wrong. That's great. Don't do it again, or at least try not to, or figure out a way through it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good reminders. Yeah. Failure. I had a bad draw on my knife the other day. I was like, oh, that's a bad one. Jeez. I haven't had a bad draw, a knife in a while. And it's just a good reminder. Good to happen. People just like our shirt, suck less, embrace failure. Like, it's so good for you.
Yeah,
it's going to improve you as a fighter, as a warrior. You got to fail. You got to have those moments. So I think it's a good place to wrap up. We're just about
take the test. Take the tests.
Yeah, get on
online.
ClearSky.Training. If you're not, you can get all these PDFs are all there for you to consume and check out, and all the videos on training and everything else. But if you're a member here, go back and get ahead of your next test and start doing it. Go through. It does save your progress on anything there on your login. So get in there and look at those questions. Know what you're going to have to answer. Ask questions in class. But as I told somebody, the answer's in the video. I believe I even say what video and what section on the portal you can find it. I don't even make it hard to find the exact video that the answer's in. Watch the video. But
the answer's here.
Once you're on the test, I'm like, hey, this is you're supposed to be taking that, but of course you could ask it in class, but you're gonna have to get on the portal to know what questions to ask and be able to answer the questions. So, all right, guys, train more, suck less. We will see you next time for the next section of this whole guy. I'll scroll up to it. We're talking about training power zones next time. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you want to support the show, you can check out shop.rmsdf.com. You can check out, shop.clearsky.com, and all our supplements and even more t-shirts and gear are located at suckless.co. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.